thank you for attending. My talk is a little weird. This is the first time I've done this with the headphone thing, right? That's why I don't hear myself coming over, but you can all hear me loud and clear? All right, thanks everybody. So we're gonna chat a little bit about streaming data, enrichment, and analysis. We're gonna do some CDC, and we're gonna look at a little bit of Python. So lots to cover. None of this is going to be a very novel approach. It's more about the combination of using all these things together to deliver some business value. If you guys like my discussion and you want to leave me a tip, that's a little QR code that's going to take you to my Bitcoin wallet. Just kidding. It's a link to my GitHub where you can see this project. There's a compose file essentially. So if you're familiar with Docker, you can do a Docker compose up, and it'll wire up all these little parts and pieces and get the data flowing in the way that we're talking about. So moving on, first a little bit about me. I'm Bryan Wood. I've been in tech for about 20 years. I love tech. I love what I do. I've taken a lot of journeys, right, in my time in tech. I've worked in a lot of different capacities, lots of time in leadership, lots of time in operations, and now I'm a solutions engineer for Redpanda. And some of my ideals and values, assume good intent, people first. At Redpanda, we say, we all want to work with good humans. Innovation, efficiency, and simplicity lead the market. Use the right tool for the right job. Be passionate about your work and have as much fun as you can. So having as much fun as I can over here. If anybody can tell me, approach me either afterwards or at our booth, what kind of motorcycle that is, I will give you a free Redpanda t-shirt. For the rest of you, I will also give you free Redpanda t-shirts. So we're going to put Redpanda right in the middle of what we're doing. And so I'm going to give you guys a little brief introduction to what Redpanda is, how it works, what place it takes in data streaming. And then we're going to jump into kind of this architecture in this example. And the reason I want to do that is because Redpanda is a stand-in replacement for Kafka, right? It's a drop-in replacement. So any of the workloads that you're currently using Kafka for, Apache Kafka, right? Or any of the like cloud managed solutions that are out there that give you Apache Kafka, we're a drop-in replacement for that, but we're re-implemented from the ground up. Written in C++, thread per core architecture, which means no JVMs, no JVM tuning, no garbage collection, some of the things that really slow Kafka down, frankly, right? So our CEO and founder sat down and said, I think that I can do this faster in C++ than you're currently doing it in Java. And he was right. So he was rebuilding for performance, but he also took the opportunity to make it much simpler. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Kafka. I, being in this job doing what I do, I run into full-time Kafka admins out there, and they're concerned with the things on the left, right? HTTP proxies, schema registries, an external system that they use for coordination, so that's either going to be Zookeeper or Kraft, and then they have brokers. They probably also have something called cruise control that's going to keep your brokers from becoming too active. They're going to spread load around. Redpanda has re-implemented Kafka so that we don't need an external system for consensus. We use Raft, right? Just a democratic system for electing partition leaders across your brokers. Each one of the brokers can also serve as a schema registry and an HTTP proxy. And we are also continuously rebalancing your partitions for you so that you can, for the most part, be hands-off. It needs to be upgraded from time to time, but you only have brokers to worry about, which means if you're going to deploy it, it's a much lower amount of effort, right? So our Ansible playbooks and our Helm charts and our operator are all very simple to use. We also have a very nice command line utility that's most people prefer over the Kafka management tools. So if you had asked me a year ago, what is Redpanda? I'd say it's a drop-in replacement for Kafka. It's more performant and simpler. Since then, or even before then, right? We've been adding all kinds of great tools. We have the ability to do single message transforms on your broker. We have a thing called tiered storage, which takes all the data from your cluster and continuously ships it to object storage like S3 or something like that, meaning that you can recover your cluster off of it. You can request data from your brokers that's not in your cluster, and they will go back and present it back to you via the Kafka API. It is just a fantastic it's a fantastic implementation of Kafka with a whole bunch of extra bells and whistles and connectivity options. So if you want to deploy it right now, we have a community version. You can go and use it. It's out on GitHub. People are out there being successful with it right now. So I highly suggest that you look into it. If you have any Kafka streaming anywhere, go and use it and be successful with it. If you want to engage with us for some of those commercial features, you can push a license to your community cluster and you will unlock those features and also get fantastic support. If you want it hosted by us, we have two options. One is in our cloud, right, where you can peer with us or whatever, right, and we'll give you connectivity to the brokers that we manage. Or our more popular option is BYOC over there. What that does is that gives you the exact same experience as when it's running in our cloud, but it runs inside of your account, giving you sovereignty. Typically, your security department, right, is going to love this a lot more. It's going to be a lot easier to bring the solution into compliance when we don't have to sign complicated BAAs and you're shipping your data to us and then we're shipping it back to you when you request it. So many people prefer those brokers living in their account. And the best part about all this is all accomplished via a little agent that's sending all of the data and the monitoring and doing all the work for us and upgrading your clusters. But the best part is the data never leaves your account, right? So we don't actually even have access to your data. It's completely managed by us and we're monitoring it, alerting on it. We've got SREs, but you don't have to send us your data, right? It's a fairly unique model. There's some other companies doing things like it. I know Databricks has some patterns, right, that are kind of analogous, but it's very popular and it's also very low effort, right? We can spin up a Redpanda cluster within your account very quickly, and we're also happy to do trials, right, and proof of concepts and things like that with you. So that's the quick rundown. Sorry, it's a bit of I'm moving fast. I got 13 minutes left. That's a rundown of Redpanda and why I think it's fantastic. What we're going to do, actually, I'm going to jump ahead just a little bit. I'm going to paint a little bit of a picture, right, with all of these different tools and services. You could also, if you absolutely preferred, Kafka over Redpanda, you could put that in the exact same spot, right? So whenever I say Redpanda, I can also mean Kafka. I wanted to generate just have a little bit of a prompt here. We've all got a lot of competing initiatives. We've all got lots of things that our company is looking to do along with our day jobs, right, of delivering functionality and more and better product faster. And here's just a couple of examples, right? We're supposed to be microservicing everything. We're supposed to be deconstructing monoliths, even though, maybe the value is not there to deconstruct that monolith. We're supposed to be streaming, right? Everybody's got a streaming initiative. Everybody's supposed to be using ML and AI everywhere right now. And you're probably, if you're working for a big company, you're probably moving everything into or out of the cloud right now. You probably got SRE initiatives, all that stuff. So what I'm going to try and do is kind of align what we're doing to deliver some of these things, right? To bring the value to add value to what we're doing. And hopefully this is all very low effort, right? That's what I view all these things as. My overall message is the stream ecosystem is amazing. There's free tools everywhere, and the pay tools, there's a bunch of great ones too. But so much of the stuff you can go and implement like within a sprint, right? That's kind of my goal here is like, if you're delivering on all your company's initiatives, then hopefully your incentive will reflect that, right, at the end of the year. So the players, I'm going to just say, for the most part, we're going to follow some data on a journey from WordPress. We're going to use CDC, right? Debezium is the tool that we're going to choose. CDC stands for Change Data Capture. We're going to put that data into Redpanda, and then we're going to stream it back out using a Python client, and we're going to leverage Hugging Face, which is a Python tool that you can use to very ergonomically and very quickly leverage machine learning tools that are out there, models and all this stuff. It's a fantastic tool set. If you ever want to do generative AI or interact with LLMs programmatically, or in this scenario, we're going to do sentiment analysis. All of this stuff is extremely easy to do in like a couple of lines of code. Now, obviously, that doesn't scale, and you need to handle retries and all that stuff. But for the most part, all of the actual working pieces are very easy to do. And that's kind of the emphasis of what I'm talking about is lots of free stuff. Lots of the stuff is really easy to do. And so I'm going to use, I talked about deconstructing a monolith. We're going to use WordPress as our example. WordPress, if you don't think it's a monolith, at least it still can kind of look like one. It's a legacy code base, right? It's been around for a really long time. PHP is not the latest and greatest. There's lots of great stuff happening in PHP still. And it's also sitting on top of a relational database, right? MySQL. So has a lot of traits that could be shared with monoliths. But the idea is that this is kind of what I'm going to use as an example of a monolith. And so what we're going to do is we're going to use Debezium, right, which is a change data capture tool. It lives within the Kafka Connect ecosystem. Again, all this stuff is open source and free, right? So the point is you take your Debezium jar, right, and you drop it in a plugins directory for your Kafka Connect, and you send it this little JSON object as a task, which will configure your job. And you can just see here, it's going to connect to the MariaDB hostname. That's the port it's going to use. There's my super secure password. It's going to use DBZ as the prefix when it creates little topics that reflect the tables that are in the WordPress database. So sorry, that's a lot of detail, but the idea is we're hooking up to a database, and all the tables that are in that database are going to show up as topics. And then anytime you're doing an insert, an update, or a delete, right, on that database, rather than sitting there and just storing that data in the database, it will do that. But it's going to subscribe to all of those changes, and those changes are going to magically show up in these topics as data, right? That is now real time, right? So the example we're going to use is somebody dropping a comment on a WordPress page, right, or on a WordPress post. And so in real time, when they do that, that's going to wind up in the comments. You can see there, DBZ, WordPress, WP comments topic, right? So what that means is whenever somebody leaves a comment in real time, that's going to show up on that topic, and we can action on it right away, right? If you wanted to send that to an LLM and have the LLM reply immediately, that would not be very difficult, right? And you can do it in real time because that insert has been turned into an event, right? So looking at the actual data that flows in, you can ignore most of this, right? The only thing that's really important is that within this JSON object that it produces, we get a little comment there that says, I'm okay with monoliths, right? So that's the data that's showing up on the topic. And in a little bit, right, we're gonna come along, in real time, not in a little bit, in real time, we're gonna pick up that data and we're gonna go do something with it, right? That's the value, that's the real-time streaming aspect. So enter Python and Hugging Face, right? So like I said, Hugging Face is a fantastic tool. If you go read their pipelines documentation, it spurs so many creative ideas for me. And I think it does for most creators, right, who are sitting there trying to do something, bring value. The ability to just take your data and shove it to one of the latest LLMs, or like I said here, we're gonna gain some sentiment, right, from this comment. Or, say you want to use Stable Diffusion we could take this comment and we could have it paint a picture and say, paint a picture of whatever they're saying in this comment, and it'll go and try and paint a picture. You can do all this crazy stuff with these tools, and this is all fairly recent stuff. I'm really excited by it. But in this scenario, right, to bring value to the business, I imagine that if you've got a lot of posts happening on your WordPress, or maybe imagine like a Twitter feed or something like that, right? That if you were to do a little bit of enrichment on that data, right? Like, I'm okay with monoliths. That's a mostly positive sentiment, right? And so what if the business wants to know, hey, how many positive comments versus how many negative comments versus how many neutral comments are showing up on these individual posts, or on the site as a whole, or when a particular subject is mentioned? We have that ability to do here. And I don't want to go into the code too much, but we're creating a producer, right? Or sorry, a consumer first, right? The consumer is going to pick up those comments as they come onto the topic, and the classifier is going to take that string and it's going to say, hey, is this positive or negative, or is it neutral, and how confident am I? And then it's going to produce that back into the cluster onto a topic that contains that new enriched information, right? So we're taking kind of from the beginning to the end, we're taking this monolith, we're allowing the monolith to participate in our streaming initiative, right? Which is not something that it was natively designed to do. We're taking that data and we're applying ML magic to it, right? And we're getting some value out of it, and we're bringing it back into the stream. And so you can see this is the result, right? Is I'm okay with monoliths. That sentiment is mostly positive, and its confidence score, right? So you want to throw things out that it's not confident in. Its confidence score is 99.95, which also happens to be Redpanda's SLA. So your confidence is 99.95%. It's pretty sure that this is a positive comment. And now this shows back up within your topics and you can do work on it, right? You can ship that off to another database, you can count it, you can aggregate it, you can say overall the sentiment on this particular post is mostly positive, right? Or mostly negative or something like that. And you can do that in real time. That's the value here, right? A bunch of free tools all over the place. Everything is awesome. And our guy's happy now, right? His keyboard's not on fire. These are all thanks to ChatGPT generating those. And so I had a problem when I first started when I sat down and prepared for this talk. I had all this stuff. I had kind of the whole end-to-end story and the picture all painted, and was ready to fly off and prepare, or fly off here, right, and give this talk. When we bought Benthos. Benthos is an amazing streaming framework for connectors. It's not in Java, right, which people find ergonomic, right? It's written in Go, which means it compiles down to bytecode, which makes it easy to deploy. And it's also configured in this declarative way. And we have hundreds of connectors, right? So now you have the ability to, actually, I saw a Twitter connector in there, right? So if we wanted to do the same project with tweets, right, we could very easily do that. We could pull tweets in from Redpanda Connect, and we could put them onto a topic, and you could do the same exact exercise with that. But the point is that now we have a really fantastic mechanism to connect you up to all your data sources, right? So maybe you want this to drop all of your data into another relational database, or send it to Snowflake, or drop it in S3 in Iceberg format, or something like that, right? You now have the ability to do all of that using this declarative language, right? So your operations team is going to be super happy with you. It's going to probably, hopefully, mesh with your, probably you have some type of a CI/CD kind of initiative that makes things easy to deploy. But then also the other thing is in that pipeline section, you also have the ability to get really crazy with transforms. And what I mean is, before we have the ability to do transformations on brokers, on your Redpanda brokers. This will allow you to do things like aggregations, right? So say we actually want to count up the number of positive or negative comments left in a particular minute, or in an hour, or in a day. This is going to hang on to those comments, and it's going to count them, and it's going to give you the ability to say how you want that data delivered to its destination, right? So you have the ability to pick up data, transform it, put it back, put it onto your topics, but also the ability to pick it up and do more transformations or aggregations or any crazy stuff, split it off to multiple destinations, whatever you want to do. It's a really, really flexible tool, and it's going to solve tons of connectivity challenges for people.